Blog Talk Radio.
Blog Talk Radio.
You're listening to The Limo Show, presented by Towne Livery. And here's your host, David Bastian.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to The Limo Show, coming to you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week via the World Wide Web. My name is David Bastian, your host, bringing you The Limo Show on Blog Talk Radio. I encourage anyone out there that's listening to the live stream to call the Limo Show hotline anytime during the show. If you have any questions for myself or our guest tonight, you can reach us at the Limo Show hotline at 714-868-0786. That's 714-868-0786. Now, I've been involved in selling to the limousine livery industry, and I've been dealing with this industry nationwide for over 12 years. And whenever I go to the limo shows and I interact with different people in the industry, it seems that each year, and a lot of the operators mention this, it seems like each year new regulations by state, local, and federal government agencies are created to help improve your industry. And what these agencies do is they raise the bar on safety standards for your equipment as well as your chauffeurs. It's extremely important, and all the owners and operators out there and managers of limo companies, please listen to this. It's extremely important for you to keep up with all of your local, state, and federal regulations so your company can, first of all, avoid traffic accidents that may be due to driver fatigue or mechanical failure due to lack of improper maintenance. Obviously, if you have traffic accidents, you're going to have increased insurance costs. And the big thing is hefty fines that can occur by being out of compliance. Bottom line is, and this is one of the things I want to mention, if you're out of compliance and DOT ends up putting out a commission, it will cost you revenue. Keeping up with these regulations can be a full-time job, and many companies are hiring individuals to monitor their logbooks, to stay within compliance. They help facilitate drug testing and also the hiring of mechanics to do the maintenance, the preventative maintenance, to ensure that the vehicles are running at top speed and also keep them on the road. Others, instead of hiring people, are turning to private companies like our guest tonight, and this is to help keep their companies in compliance and, like I mentioned before, keep their vehicles on the road generating revenue. Now, our guest tonight has been involved in the limousine livery industry since 1991. He is well-versed in NHTSA regulations of 52 states, as well as current DOT regulations in the state of New York. He is truly an authority on transportation. Please welcome to the Limo Show, Dave Lipsky and Kato from Authority on Transportation. Dave and Kato, welcome to the Limo Show.
Dave, glad you could have us this evening.
Yeah! Well, thank you guys for coming on. There, you did some extra clapping there. I heard that in the background. Now, Dave and Kato, can you give the listeners some background about yourself and how you both got your start in the limousine livery industry?
It's an easy story. Kato and I have actually conducted business together for the last 15 years. He's truly a phenomenal gentleman, which was able to create and work with the subject CDL areas where we worked side by side with regulations with the limousine and bus industry. And how I met Kato was basically through that. And then we just started working together, and then we became a team, and we both became bookends. And here we are today.
Your company, Authority on Transportation, is a company that specializes in providing the transportation industry with many services, and you're going to talk about those services tonight, that are designed to reduce downtime due to mechanical breakdown as well as compliance with current DOT regulations of, in particular, New York State. Dave, tell us about your company and the services that you provide.
The services we provide is, number one, we're a DOT facility in New York State. We come very highly recommended through New York State. We also come highly recommended through the industry for These facilitates for products that have to be put into bus criteria. We also comply and modify and alter vehicles to bring them to full bus criteria to make them safe enough to be allowed to go through DOT inspection and comply to be on the road. So they're a vehicle that a company might have that is sitting and they're worried about getting it on the road, they have to sell it, they have to do this. We can take that vehicle if they're a non-NHTSA manufacturer or no manufacturer. We can take that vehicle, comply it, make it safe, make it meet the bus criteria, and we get that vehicle through DOT on the road. So now the company is able to make themselves a financial profit with a product that they would actually be called a plant pot. And the other good area is that when a company takes a vehicle like that and makes it DOT criteria, because in the 52 states, the vehicle selling ability is much higher as a DOT-approved vehicle as a bus than it would be if it wasn't. So, the investment in doing that is very high. It's good, it's a very good investment to do.
It helps resale value, too, also.
Absolutely, 100%. We've had a lot of thank yous through the times and quite a few years now where people have actually appreciated it, and we got a lot of thank yous on sales where it actually worked out the way we said, and they actually profited pretty well on the sale of that product, too. We also here, we coach, build, stretch, and build buses, and we build limousines. Everything we do here is the vehicle is built to full criteria as designed, appropriate, under regulation, with nice designing, and the vehicle actually walks out of our facility with a DOT sticker on it. So now the client can just go register the vehicle, not have to worry about getting the vehicle from California or Missouri, Chicago, and have to worry about going to different places to get the vehicle to pass and what they're going through now. We build a vehicle that you never, ever, ever have to go through that. The next thing is
extremely important.
Oh yeah, no, it's very important. This is the studies we've been doing. We've entered this industry, and we found it imperative to be on top of it. We found safety. That was a very huge part of us. We have kids. We understand safety aspects. We understand the school laws, school busing laws and regulations, and safety is a huge factor. If you're carrying 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and up people, that's a huge responsibility. Things can happen. These bus crashes that took place in New York State and other states, made the news. That's major catastrophe, major. And we don't want to see that happen.
It's basically based on safety, which we're going to touch base later regarding the 19A with the drivers, where a lot of the limousine operators, I'm sure they heard a driver will walk in and say, "Oh, I know how to drive a box truck, so I'm ready to drive your prom over the weekend. I'm looking for a job." Hey, but I'll tell you what I usually tell the operators, you got to tell them, listen, if you could drive a garbage truck and drive rough around the roads, garbages don't talk back, but your clients will. So that's one key factor you guys will have to take into consideration before you're hiring your next, as so-called, say, driver, but I quote-unquote say chauffeurs. They're not drivers because it's limousine industry is much a higher end. So they're just not drivers. They're considered chauffeurs.
Definitely. Now, we're going to talk about the NHTSA stickers, and we're also going to talk about 19A later in the show. Dave, I have a question for you. New York State has recently changed some of the regulations to include vehicles under the DOT umbrella that were not previously under that particular jurisdiction. These new rules have caused a lot of confusion with operators due to the misinformation out there in the industry. Under these new rules, which vehicles are now required to be subject to New York State DOT inspections? Okay,
that's a trick question. That's like asking me if there's a 350 engine in a 1968 Mustang, but I'm going to give you the answer to this.
Yes.
It goes like this. New York State has full interest in anything that's considered 10 and over. 10 to 14 passenger vehicle will be under periodic inspection, which is a DOT inspection twice a year. That vehicle, 10 to 14, does not, and I say it again, does not get bus plates. It is an error if DMV is giving it to you. It is an error if someone's telling you have to have them. It is a livery plate. You're under your standard regular insurance, your 1.5, your regular standard livery insurance. You, at that point, will have, of course, either your TLC plate, your Westchester plate, or whatever the township plate you need. You do not require a bus plate for anything 14 and under. Okay?
Okay, I've got a question for you, Dave. Do they count the driver in that 10 or 14?
Well, that's what I was getting up to. That's what I was going to continue going with. I just wanted to finish this aspect. Anything 15 and above is, of course, bus plated. Now, let's get to the driver area. Yes. If the vehicle counts 14 passengers, the driver is considered the 15th. That puts you into a bus category. If you have 13 passengers plus the driver, that's 14. Now, the interpretation is tricky. Under U.S., they look at every person in the car and they call it persons. So there is 15 persons in that vehicle is considered a bus. New York State looks at it as passengers. And now they're considering saying the driver's a passenger also. U.S. says persons, New York State and other states call the passengers. So it's tricky. Okay? Now, let's go to the QVM and the CMC vehicle. The CMC is the Cadillac, QVM is the Ford. The sedan product, which is QVM, any Lincoln that's 120 and under. The CMC is the Cadillac, which is the 130 and under. What they don't tell you is New York State will give you a waiver for these products for not needing a periodic inspection. You will then get the waiver and go to a gas station and get yourself an inspection. But what U.S. will tell you is once you leave New York State, you are a prey. Those vehicles, even though New York State does not look at them and they give them a waiver, U.S. looks at them and says, hey, you are susceptible as being a bus. Because U.S. goes from, if I'm correct, it goes from 10 passengers down to 8. It's 10 to 8. Anything 8 to 10 in that area, anything with a stretch altered panel, stretch wheelbase, altered seating is considered a limo, a bus under U.S. You carry anything from 6 passengers on up, you're in that category. I'm sure most of these listeners have been into New York City and they notice that 120-inch Lincoln and under have a diamond on the window because they go out of state. They have U.S. DOT document numbers or authority, on the side of the vehicles. They can go inter and intra, and that's it. That's basically how that pans out. So, yes, once you leave the New York State area and you go interstate and you go to Newark Airport and you get pulled over there, you're susceptible. You go to Great Adventure, you go anywhere, you're susceptible to roadside, and you will find yourself getting fines, and those drivers will end up needing a CDL driver's license going U.S., anything out of state.
Under the new rules, if an operator out there has one of these vehicles that now falls under the DOT jurisdiction, when are they going to be required to get those vehicles DOT certified?
As long as that product has an inspection sticker on it right now, this is what is stated. When that inspection sticker runs out, the gentleman would obviously go to the owner will go to a repair shop as normal and go to get an inspection done for his vehicle. The technician at the repair shop will then, of course, barcode the registration, enter it into the system. He will then come up with a notation and a letter stating that you have to see or speak to anyone that, DOT or supervisor to look at the vehicle to see if it needs a waiver. At that point, you take that vehicle, that's an SUV stretch. Now remember, an SUV stretch, QVM 140, 130, 120, again, an MPV, SUV, 140, 130, 165, any of those are not exempt. Only the sedans are exempt. They will then, at that point, be expressed on what the positioning that I have to take, as they got to go get their authority for New York State. They got to apply for all their numbers. So instead of being behind the 8 ball, I would probably get on it immediately. Do not wait for your inspection sticker to expire. Also, just because the inspection sticker is good, you are still susceptible to roadside, and you still will get fines.
Which is something that the operators out there definitely want to avoid. Last week, I was at our local association meeting in Buffalo, and one of the operators asked a question, and he wanted me to ask you this question. And the question he had was, now a few years ago, obviously some of these vehicles that now are subject to DOT, and some of these vehicles are 8 and 10 years old now at this point in time, now these vehicles have to become qualified for DOT. Why didn't New York State allow those vehicles to be grandfathered and not be eligible for this program?
Okay, that's a good question. Let me read this to you. There was a proposed a rule change under Part 79 for Department of Motor Vehicle in New York State. Obviously, there was issues with these vehicles. So it wasn't that DOT made the change. It was New York State DMV that made the change. And it had to be handed off to someone. And at that time, there was a proposed law, which was in 2007. It went to 2008. And then it started to go to regulatory in 2009. Once the proposed law was put out there for everyone to answer to, no one could answer to it, so the law was turned. It's the Department of Motor Vehicle that made the change, not New York State DOT.
Okay. That clears up a little bit of misinformation out there. If an operator has one of these vehicles that were not built by a QVM, a CMC, or an approved NHTSA builder, how can your company assist their company in making the vehicle comply with DOT regulations?
Well, with quite a few behind us that we've done and we took care of, how it works is this. You would contact us, we'd make an appointment, we'd ask you to bring the product out to us, we would do an evaluation on the product. Once we do the evaluation on the product, we take it, we have it weighed. We do seat measurements. We do tire ratios. We look at the chassis. We check the glass for the windows. We check everything possible on that vehicle to, for it to meet the bus criteria. 80% of these vehicles, actually, let me just back that up. 70% of these vehicles are good. They just need to be complied minimal. There is that 30% that were built by manufacturers out of the backyard of their home, in a garage, in a shed, in a barn. Those vehicles were just built with very shady parts, minimal steel, non-tempered glass, non-laminated glass. Just seats did not have steel bindings to hold them down. They had wood bases. Just a lot of things. So there's always that product that, is that, kind of zero. But the good news is that product can be put back into service 100% with no ifs, ands, whats about it. 100% put into service and complied and, back on the road to make, financials for its company. And also, again, that product can get good resale value.
Which is extremely important to the operators out there that invest a lot of money in those buses and limousines, because you and I both know, they can get pretty expensive when you're going to purchase one of those vehicles today. Let's talk about maintenance. DOT requires an operator to perform preventative maintenance on their vehicles. It's extremely important for fleet managers when establishing a program for your company to make sure your PM activities are done correctly. New York State DOT requires operators to go for inspections every 6 months, and you mentioned that earlier, Dave, as well as provide documentation of the services and inspections performed by both facilities that perform the PMIs, as well as your daily and weekly inspection logs performed by you, the manager, and your staff. How can your company, Dave, help operators get set up with a program that they use internally, whether it be for preventative maintenance or internal inspections, to help them comply with state regulations?
I'm going to have Kato's going to handle that area, okay?
A lot of these operators, they run their company differently, but to be on the safe side, there's a thing called a PMI sheet, which is preventative maintenance inspection, and which all these mechanics and managers of each individual operator, they should follow. And I advise them to go every week. Weekly, after a long weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, they should check every vehicle. Now, the reason why is, let's just, for instance, there's an accident where a motor coach bus, or let's just say a limo bus or a stretch SUV, where the wheels fell off. Now, what the inspectors are going to look at the vehicle after an accident and say, why did this vehicle's wheel fall off? Now, is number one, did the driver inspect this vehicle before he went to pick up, let's just say, 16 prom kids on a prom night? Now, before that, did the mechanic or the manager of the operator follow up on this vehicle? Did they do an inspection to avoid, maybe there was a lug nut missing, maybe there was 2 lug nuts missing, maybe they were loose, maybe somebody oversaw. These are inspections that should be done daily as a driver and also weekly with an operator to avoid accidents, whether it's a broken windshield wiper blade, a torn rubber, where every driver should mark this down in a logbook, and the pre-trip inspection where that actual paper gets sent back after they come back, which is a post-trip inspection after they do a run, whether it's a wedding, again, going to an airport. And that piece of paper should be returned back to the office, and if there's any repairs that's needed to be completed, the managers will then direct the mechanics to follow up and do any repairs necessary going forward.
That's all good stuff. One of our local limo companies, and I was talking with him last night about this particular subject, he mentioned, just like you said, he has his drivers do daily inspections. Every Monday night, he, the owner of the company, does his own inspection, and he does it weekly. The big thing is it's all about safety. He had mentioned to me before that he's not carrying cargo, he's carrying people, and his concern is their safety. And I think these regulations, I know there's different limo operators out there or bus operators that aren't happy with them. I mean, the bottom line is that they're going to keep the roads safer for our kids and for you and I, when we're going down the road, as well as the passengers in the buses or limousines. If a company brings their vehicle to your shop, Dave, for a DOT inspection, and that inspector fails the vehicle for whatever reason, what happens next?
It's a very depressing moment for everyone.
I agree.
What happens next is, the rarity of that happening is very rare. We don't I hate to say it, but we don't get, that usually happens to a company that does not PMI their product, and they just say, I want to use a lift, and they go somewhere and they just have the vehicle presented on a lift. They can get a failure. But, we don't, it's very rare that we've had failures here in this facility. It's I don't even know, it's very rare. So I wouldn't be able to answer that in probably a very good fashion, but I could explain that it's probably very depressing. And I do know the procedure would be that the repair facility or the owner would have to repair any and defects noted on the back of that document that the inspector has given out, which is on the MC300, and then he has to, have it presented again to see if the defects were handled appropriately, and that's, of course, rescheduling, which then that takes other time involved because the state has to find time to be able to reschedule you. So it's not worth the loss of revenue and the loss of time. If you keep up on everything, everything goes so much smoother. You don't want to have the downtime. It's just, it sounds very inconvenient, to have that downtime. You might as well get yourself conditioned and trained, follow through, and it'll become part of your daily life.
I agree 100%. Guys, this is great stuff we're discussing tonight, and I hope the listeners out there that are listening live or going to be listening to the archived show are gaining some knowledge regarding the New York State DOT program. Well, we're going to head off to break, guys. And when we come back, we're going to talk about 19A and a few other things. You are listening to The Limo Show, presented by Towne Livery, here on Blog Talk Radio. Now is the time to get on board. If you have any questions for Dave Lipsky or Kato from the Authority on Transportation, you can reach us at 714-868-0786. That's 714-868-0786. Now, we did have a caller earlier on the line. Caller, if you'd like to call back, we'll get you on the line, and you can ask Dave or Kato whatever question you'd like to ask. You are listening to The Limo Show here on Blog Talk Radio.
Would you like a marketing partner that not only understands marketing, but knows the transportation industry inside and out? Are you struggling to attract new customers, retain your current customers, or win back lost customers? If you find yourself saying yes to any of these questions, there's only one place to call. Call the marketing wizard of the limousine industry, Arthur Messina from Create-A-Card. Create-A-Card is the #1 supplier of business cards, marketing supplies, and promo items to the limousine industry of North America. Contact Create-A-Card today at 1-800-753-6867. That's 1-800-753-6867, so they can help transform your marketing and advertising into consistent sales-generating machines. You can also find us on the web at createacardinc.com. That's createacardinc.com.
Are you looking to add an executive L-Town car to your fleet? If you are, call Towne Livery. Towne Livery is a franchise Ford, Lincoln, Chrysler, and BMW dealer that specializes in selling livery vehicles nationwide. Towne Livery is located in Buffalo, New York, and is able to ship your vehicle to you at an affordable price. So, when you think of livery vehicles, think of Towne Livery. Towne Livery can be reached at 800-730-3683. That's 800-730-3683. One-stop shopping at Towne Livery.
You're listening to The Limo Show on Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome back. You are listening to The Limo Show, presented by Towne Livery, heard 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on Blog Talk Radio. We have Dave Lipsky and Kato from Authority on Transportation here with us tonight. Kato, you don't mind me doing that, do you?
Well, it's funny that it's Dave and Kato. We just left the room for a minute as you came back, so we're waiting for him.
Okay, great. Well, guys, I really appreciate you both coming on and separating the facts from fiction regarding the new DOT regulations for New York State, as well as some of the ones that have been around for quite a while. For our listeners outside of New York State, many of these regulations have already been put in place and are in the process of being implemented, unfortunately, due to many of the bus accidents, like you mentioned, Dave, that have occurred nationwide, and unfortunately, New York State had a bunch this summer. Many of these accidents, unfortunately, have produced fatalities. The purpose of DOT, whether it's local, and you'll agree with me with this, Dave and Kato, whether it's local, state, or federal, is to help keep our roads safe for us. Limo guys, it's not that they're here to give you a headache. They're here, and they're not here to, obviously they do generate revenue, but the bottom line is they are here to keep the roads safe for us and help, basically try to eliminate the possibilities of accidents. Now, Dave and Kato, we do have a caller on the line. We have a caller from the 631 area code, which is your area code. Caller,
Hi.
Can you tell us who you are, and welcome to the Limo Show.
Good evening, guys.
Hello.
My name is Mike Cervantes. How are you guys doing today?
Good. Welcome
Fine.
to the show.
Can you hear
All
us?
right, how are you doing? Yeah, I can hear you guys fine.
Oh,
Okay, great.
Kato's on the call.
Yeah, well,
What's your question for Dave?
Yeah, I have a quick question. As far as doing DOT inspections, do they also build coach cars?
Yes, we actually do build vehicles here. We build limousines. We build SUVs, we build buses. Yes, we build them up to 240 inches. We can. Yes.
Right, and as far as that being a DOT facility, I'm sure that they do come out DOT inspected, correct?
Well, we have to build a vehicle to full regulation. Yes, we have to follow everything under 566.49. Each vehicle is built to full bus criteria and DOT, and actually, it's good you asked anyhow. Every time a vehicle has been built and sold, it was DOT'd leaving the building. So the client, or as you possibly a potential client, will actually be able to go right to DMV, leaving the facility, and just getting your plates without having to worry to going to a facility and fail and have problems. Yes.
Great.
I mean, you can
also. As the coach said, I am in your area also. Where are you guys located?
We're in Hauppauge. We're on
the address is 933. That's Motor Parkway, and that's in Hauppauge. And if you take the expressway, we're half a mile south of the expressway on exit 55, which is Motor Parkway.
Great. Now, how about a website? So we can
the website is yes, it's authorityontransportation.com. That's authorityontransportation.com.
Now, Dave, I got a question for you because one of my local limo operators asked this, and he mentioned, obviously, with us being on the opposite side of the state, he was wondering if later on down the road, if your company is planning on expanding to other cities within New York State to offer these services, so some of the operators that are on the other side don't have to drive 7 or 8 hours.
Well, actually, what we do is we've had customers from upstate, Wapping Falls, New York Mills, Rochester, Syracuse. What they'll do is they'll set up an appointment, and there's a nice Sheraton over here. And what they'll do is they'll stay here for a couple of days, and they're more than welcome to look at the facility while the vehicle's getting worked on. Of course, we will walk them through to the back, and they would enjoy staying and hanging out with us.
We're actually able to, as long as they have an authority, we're actually able to have the vehicle DOT'd also and complied within 3 to 4 days. And they're back on the road. They're driving back with their bus plates or their regular livery plates under periodic.
And that's extremely important. Kato, I have a question for you. And this is regarding drivers. Now, based on the federal DOT regulations, a driver who carries passengers is only allowed to work 10 consecutive hours after 8 hours off daily, and I guess that includes their other job if they have one. Does your company assist operators in implementing a system for properly logging drivers' hours of service to comply with the federal standard?
To tell you the truth, that was a good question that you said, federal. We're going to touch that topic later. Every company now should have 2 files, a federal file and a 19A file. And we'll touch the 19A later because that's a separate file that every operator should have. So for every chauffeur or driver, there should be 2 files, a federal file and a 19A file. Now, over here, what we basically do is more towards the vehicle. I can give advice, but we have other companies that we direct our clients to because of the traffic through here and all the questions I get every day is astronomical. But anything I can help them with, that's what I'm here for, yes. What
are the New York State DOT's requirements as far as drivers for drug testing?
Okay. Last I recall, every company that has bus-plated vehicles or any vehicles that go under periodic is required to have chauffeurs that have to go through a random drug test. Now, what that means is there's companies out there where you pay a minimal fee for the year, and what they'll do is they'll do the pre-employment. So before you hire a driver or chauffeur, they should go through a drug test, and also there's an alcohol test. Now, if you have, let's just say, for instance, 20 chauffeurs in your fleet, what they'll do is they'll pick a name out of the hat every week, and they'll contact your manager and say, hey, listen, so-and-so is required to show up. Now, whether they're doing a job or they're in Atlantic City or cross-country, they will locate the nearest alcohol substance or drug testing place, and they'll have to stop what they're doing, and they have to be called in, and they have to sign in and check into that location to be drug tested. So it is a mandatory. And at the same time, on the other end, you as a customer, you would want, let's just say, your daughter or your son getting into that vehicle. Is that driver drug-free, alcohol-free? It's a very important aspect for as an operator. They should definitely follow that.
And as a parent, I have 3 beautiful daughters, and eventually they will be going to proms and weddings. That's extremely important because, obviously children are not replaceable. I would want my children in a vehicle that's driven by someone who has been tested and, safe. DMV Rule 19A, and you mentioned that earlier, Dave, is a rule that mostly applies to school bus operators. I'm going to mention again one of our local operators. Recently, he was required to make his drivers of his bus 19A endorsed. Can you share with us what 19A is and why is DOT now requiring some of the companies to make their drivers certified even if they don't drive school bus?
All right, let me go about 19A. 19A actually originated back in, I'll give you the exact date. I'm sure most of the people aren't familiar with it, but it was back in March 24th of 1972. It was in a small town up in Nyack, Congress. He was a New York City fireman, and to keep up 3 kids and a full family, he ended up taking another job, which was driving kids in the morning, going to school. He was a school bus driver. So every morning, 5 o'clock in the morning, he would show up to the yard, pick up his number, school bus, go down to the small town of Congress up in Nyack, pick up all the kids, drop all the kids to school, return that bus back, and be back into the city for his fireman job. And back in 1972, at all railroad crossings, there was never a light or just a warning which would say, stop, railroad crossing, look both ways, and cross over. And as that morning, which was a tragic morning around 7:30 in the morning, he tried to beat the big 52, I think, cars of cargo train that was going across that station there, and the rear bus was clipped in half, and it was a tragic day.
Oh.
So what happened, that created the Article 19A, which Article 19A is only in New York State as of right now. I don't know other states right now if the laws are different, but Article 19A consists of, it's similar to the federal, which every year, as an operator, you were supposed to run the chauffeur's abstract. Now, an abstract is, you could pull it from the DMV, or you can have an insurance carrier to pull that out for you for a minimal cost. That brings any tickets or violations that a driver may have in the past, or it could be a ticket that was issued to him 2 weeks ago, which you as an operator should be aware of. Hey, why is one of my drivers getting a speeding ticket 2 weeks ago and not knowing about it? Everything and all the history is on that abstract. Now, also, there's an additional thing called the biennial driving test. Now, a certified 19A examiner will follow one of your chauffeurs through a course of going to a job and to see how he operates your vehicle. Also, as a healthy employee, every 2 years you have to renew your physical. Now, you want your driver to be in a good physical condition, no medical conditions. Now, if you do have a medical condition, the doctors will usually give you a 1-year medical certificate. Now, if you're healthy, they usually give you a 2-year, so a physical is required every 2 years under the 19A. Now, also every 2 years, they refresh your memory and they'll assign you a test of the common knowledges. But in the past, it was more of the school bus end, but now coming into these days, it's any motor vehicle or a bus that's carrying passengers within New York State is required to have 19A. So that's a little bit of the background of the 19A, what it really does. And again, as an operator or the consumer, you want your chauffeur to be in good shape, health-wise, and going back, like you said, if that chauffeur drives like a dump truck or a UPS truck or a FedEx truck for 7-8 hours during the day, and then he clocks out at 5 o'clock and he comes into a limousine operator, and he's picking up 16 prom kids, and he's got another 8, 9, 10 hours of prom driving down to Seaside Heights or driving around New York City, you would kind of want to know how long was this driver was actually driving through the whole day, because once your daughter or your son is in that vehicle, you want to actually know the history or the past, the driving time that person actually had picking up passengers. And that's where the logbooks come in. Like you said before, maximum 10 hours after 8 hours off duty. So here are the things that the 19A follow, which creates a safetier and a record keeping for your operators. And the operators, please, you have to stay on top of this, because you will get once in a while an audit from the DMV, and they will come in to look at your books and make sure your paperwork and everything is up to date, including physicals for every driver. And that is a must.
And I think it's definitely something it's a great thing that 19A has been enacted, and I agree with that particular law 100%. Now, guys,
yeah, Dave,
I got a question.
Going back to that, Dave, I'm sorry, I just wanted to reiterate here. Going back to where, with the PMI sheet, the 19A as a driver combines, again, let's go back to that accident. Let's just say a vehicle is into an accident where a wheel fell off. When the state and the federal, when they come in and they do investigation on that vehicle, they want to know, number one, was that chauffeur or driver good health condition? Did he have a small mini stroke? Did he hit a curb? Is that the reason why that the wheel fell off? Or going back to that mechanic that did the PMI, was that wheel checked? Did the driver check those lug nuts and the tire thread and the wheel and the brakes and the windows before he left his yard to go pick up the clients? Did the mechanic do proper mechanical work? Was the brakes changed? Were the wheels put back on properly? Were all the lug nuts? I mean, everything goes backtracked to see how the past. It's all in a chronological order. Now, why did the wheel fall? Now there's going to be a periodic stop where a driver will get stopped, and that's again going back. That would be a roadside. Now, if a roadside inspection has occurred and let's just say the rotors are deteriorated and cracked, now that goes back to the chauffeur. Why didn't he look at that rotor before he left to pick up the passengers? And what they'll then do is look at his pre-trip inspections and the post-trip inspection for that vehicle. So now if, let's just say, John, Cindy, and Peter, 3 jobs before, 3 chauffeurs marked it in their pre-trip and their post-trip, must check brakes, unusual noise, crack rotor. And if the manager or the operator had nothing, they didn't even pay any mind to have that vehicle fixed, then that becomes into the company responsibility. So you see it from the driver, from the chauffeur, all the way back to the operator owner. It's just like a trail, and that's what keeps it safe, where everybody follows protocol. It would be much a safer road in New York State and throughout nationwide.
Last Friday, because Fridays are generally my day off, I was going down the road in Amherst, New York, which is a suburb of Buffalo, and in the parking lot was a Sprinter limo bus, one of those real nice ones with Massachusetts plates on it, and it was pulled over. And I don't know if in your area this is going on, but the town of Amherst now has a DOT van that they do roadside. So the local municipalities here are starting to do roadside inspections, and they were inspecting this vehicle. Are you seeing in your side of the state other municipalities doing the same thing, where they're creating departments in which they do roadside inspections? The possibility of having a roadside just doesn't occur from a New York State DOT inspector. It could happen from your local municipality. Can you share your thoughts on what I just said?
Your local municipality is your police department. You have, in the police department, there's a trained department, certain men that are trained for roadside, and only they can actually do a roadside. We have it over here. We have DOT, which is actually U.S. and New York in place for roadside. We have highway. We have state troopers. Who's ever trained has the right to pull your vehicle over as long as they're properly credentialed and they will do the proper procedure, yes. It happens out here too, correct.
Okay, it just struck me as being, different because I'm not part of the industry, and I saw the local police department do that, and I just found it interesting. Guys, today has been extremely informative, and I've learned a lot of stuff. Dave, I got a few questions for you. I was surfing on your Facebook page there, and I see that you get involved in film and movies. I guess you're a director. Can you tell us about your movie career that you have that is outside of Authority on Transportation?
Yeah, actually, the movie I produced is a movie called Jesse. It's the movie. I have Eric Roberts, William Forsythe, Armand Asante, Michael Wright. I have quite a few actors from Oz, and we performed this movie. We produced it last year. We're getting ready to put it into distributorship right now, and I'm also working on another movie, The Night Doesn't Sleep. So that's one of my little hobbies I like to do, and Kato also, he's very involved with it. We got a lot of little things working with some very high-end stuff with movies right now. It's a fun thing to do. Kato is actually an actor in one of them. All right,
really?
Yeah, he gets shot, but he's a pizza delivery guy. But the funny thing was that he actually works at a Chinese restaurant and he has a pizza in his hand. No one knows what's in the box. It's one of those things.
That's funny. So that's why. That's funny. That is funny. What inspired you both to get involved in this?
It goes back a lot of years. I was always I have family in that whole industry, so we just ended up being sucked into it. That's not the only movie. I'm involved with 16 movies in total. I don't want to give names, but 16 movies in total I'm involved with. It's something I enjoy doing. I work with a lot of actors. I deal with a lot of entertainment industry, and we also build manufacture for these entertainment industries, for these management companies too. But yeah, it's one of my fortes. It's fun. Kato's a great actor. All right.
So he's got the falling down with the gunshots. He's got that down, right? He's got it. What other things have you done, Kato?
Well, he's played in the Green Hornet.
There you go.
But yeah, no, and we also, we dabble in all types of other areas. But this is our main forte, what we're doing tonight. This is our main forte. Our studies go into this, and this is what we just live for. This is exactly what we live for. And this is what it's all about, and
no doubt.
It's scary at first, but once, it's like a baby. Once it takes its first breath, it's just, its breathing is it just goes. You're fine. You'll get used to it.
No doubt. Guys, thank you for coming on the show. Now, before you leave here, is there any other additional thoughts that you'd like to leave with the listeners? And also, can you let the listeners know how they can reach you on the web and by phone?
Well, I'm going to have Kato take over on this one.
Well, everybody's free field to call us. We're open 6 days a week, Monday through Saturday, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., and Sunday is appointments only or emergency roadside. But there's a toll-free number. It's 888-933, like our address, 933. It's 1268. Again, 888-933. 1268. Now the 268 actually stands for AOT. So if you guys out there driving, it's 888-933-1-AOT.
Our website is www.authorityontransportation.com, which will give you a listing of our coach build, all our services, and everything we render. And please feel free to call for any questions, because we always make the time to answer. And, if you look on our website, you'll find out about our BS also. And that's what I can tell you.
I did see that. Can you tell us about that?
You want to know about the BS?
Yeah, I want to know about that.
All the BS is best service, We'll just go down the list here. It's about or BS. It's be special. Be big shot, big stuff, big savings. Be smart, best skills, best stretches. Be seen, build solid, best service, and buy now and save later and be safe is the main important factor of this operation.
That's our BS, not the other BS.
And you know what? It's good BS because the be safe is what this show tonight was all about, and the DOT regulations that are out there in place. Guys, thank you again for coming on the show. And listeners and caller, thank you again for participating in the show. You are listening to The Limo Show, presented by Towne Livery on Blog Talk Radio. We appreciate the time you've taken to listen to our program. The Limo Show will be coming to you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on Blog Talk Radio. So we encourage you to tune in and listen. Have a wonderful week, and I look forward to speaking with you on the next edition of The Limo Show. Good night.